school, it's like, wow, not only am I concerned about my child, but with that concern, I know what I can do for my child. I know what things we have at home. I know what he has access to. I know what I have access to. I don't always know what my students have access to. You know, a lot of the kids that I work with are already underserved. Sometimes some of them don't even speak English. So, you know, when something like this happened, my mind just starts to whirl, you know, kind of like a, you know, like a washing machine when things are just turning and turning and turning. But, you know, I feel like I had to get back into like, how much grit do I have? What can I do for these kids? Because my first year working in the school setting, Harvey happened. So I kind of have this little like, okay, I got a little backbone here. I can figure this out. If we made it through that, we can make it through this.
Well, you know, honestly, I kind of, like I said, didn't think that we would be this far into it. Because this happened in March, we're in August now. And I felt that truly we had two minor college students living in our homes, and you know how we were in college. So a 7-year-old and a 14-year-old in college. I became the dean of Parker University while my husband became the president. And it was very challenging for us, very overwhelming for us. And we got down to the point that we had to say something. Because it wasn't like, oh, you just got an extra, week from spring break. It was like, you have to go back to school now. And we're going to be doing school from home. And this is what they're asking of you. It was all about, for us, being able to make sure that they stayed motivated, that they remained engaged, and that we also were able to hold them accountable for these things as well, just as they would have been held accountable in the school setting. So we had some struggles, especially with our 7-year-old. I think our middle schooler at that time, I think she soared. The biggest thing for her was that piece of socialization. I mean, she was an 8th grader. We'd already had all these plans of how we were going to celebrate and things of that sort. And to then be at a point where we had to pull back was pretty challenging for us. So I can't honestly say that when we shared what we shared, that my husband and I did it right. So from your experience, what can you say is age appropriate to share with our children about the pandemic that has now become our new normal?
Simply put, be honest. You know, be honest about what's going on around them. Be honest about what's going on with school. So if you do know that they will be virtual, you know, according to whatever plans your school has put forward, say, hey, let's have a talk. You know, bring back family meetings, have a conversation, you know, and you might have to differentiate it between, because I know you said a 7-year-old and then you've got someone going to 9th grade now, you know, 7th grade, 9th grader, they may not, you know, get the difference. Your high schooler might be like, but this is high school. You know, I'm supposed to be living my best life, mom, YOLO, you know, all of those fun. And in the back of your mind, if you're not telling them the truth, if you're not being honest, they're going to be like, so you knew this whole time? Or they'll get a clip from the news, or they'll hear something from a friend, or they'll see it on Instagram, Facebook, all these platforms we're currently on. They'll see it. Somebody else will tell them, and then they'll feel like they can't trust you. So I really fully believe in being honest. The only thing I would say I wouldn't, quote unquote, share, which I hope most people know, is the politics around it. You don't need to go in there talking about what Trump said or didn't say, or Dr. Fauci, or, you know, like none of that is relevant to your child in that moment. It's relevant to you as the adult who is leading them. You're the leader in their life. You know what I mean? So typically as parents, we take the brunt of it. You know, we take we get all of the information whether we want it or not, because you have to have all of the information available to you to make informed decisions. You know, so I think that our kids should be treated the same way. This is what's going on. This is what you have available to you. We have a computer for each of you, or you don't, you know what I mean? Whatever you have and don't have. But I really, that question, I just fall on honesty. You can't do anything if you're not honest, because this is a time where your kids are completely surrounded by you. All they have with their friends is a text message, if that, you know, and if your son is only 9, like mine, doesn't have a phone, he's wilding out. You know, they want to know, like, well, what do you mean I can't go and see my friends? Describe what that looks like. Tell them how you're going to make their day great anyway, even though you'll be working from home / they'll be going to school at home. You know, honesty.
Yeah, I would completely agree with that, being open and honest about things. And also, one of the things that we kind of used to justify everything was just a matter of safety. We are very social family, so we generally have end of the year celebrations for them here at the house, and we have people over often. And that was kind of challenging for to go from that to saying, okay, we're not going to have the summer party that we normally have, and normally to just be like, cousins and things like that. But this time around, it was like, no, we're bringing it back, and it's only for your safety and our safety as well. So for us, it was really about stressing that safety piece, but also making sure that we're open and honest about it. For my daughter, one thing that I noticed with her is she would have, changes in her mood, like very subdued type things. But my husband and I really have like a running joke in our household. I mean, we have a teenage girl, and then we have a 3-year-old Gemini. So, you just never know who you're gonna wake up with some mornings, and we try to manage it. I mean, my cousin was just saying earlier that he's gonna make some signs for her to say, which person are you going to be today? Because sometimes she can come and she can be like super moody and super just not want to deal with anybody, not want to fool with anybody. And then other times she can just be, cheerful and happy and excited and wanting to engage. And then sometimes it's just like straight attitude. And I can remember, when all of this first kind of happened, I did not see her for like a full weekend. Like, we live in the same house. I mean, her bedroom is just feet away from my bedroom, but I came in on a Friday evening and I did not see her until I called her up out of her room. Like, hey girl, where you been? I ain't seen you. How you doing? What's going on? And for us, that's one thing that we had to learn to manage, like those different moods. And I'm really interested to know from your professional experience, what tactics can we use to address those moods? Like, what do you recommend on how we respond to these changes in moods from our children?
I think one, that can be different for anybody, any parent, any family, simply because everybody's child is different. Everybody's, household dynamics are different. But I would say, you gave her space, right, for your example, and that was cool. But I would even venture to say, like, peep in there even before that, like checking in, have like bookend your days. Good morning. How are you? What's going on? What's up? What are we going to do in this house or in this backyard, front yard? Those spaces that you can maneuver, right? What are we going to do? And at the end of the day, right, if not throughout the day, have a checkpoint. How did you feel about today? Anything going on with you? Give them the space to speak to you. Because a lot of times we assume that, oh, that's my kid, that's my daughter, that's my son. They know I love them. They can talk to me about anything in the world. They're a teenager, or they're a toddler. They, in the back of their minds, they're like, that's my mom, that's my dad, or that's somebody I can trust and I can talk to. But sometimes you still have to just open the door and say, hey, let's have this conversation. And it also helps in speaking about like different resources that are available, because sometimes they don't want to talk to you. They don't want to tell you that their little boyfriend broke their heart that they shouldn't have, right? Because you done told them they can't date. They don't want to tell you that, because if they come and tell you that, your first reaction might not be, oh, I'm so sorry he broke your heart. You're gonna be like, boyfriend, what? Like you're gonna be trying to figure out what's going on and how that even occurred anyway. So I think that just creating open space, open dialogue is very, very important. And honestly, when we're all frustrated during a time like this, make sure you're letting kids know that you too are frustrated, or apologizing to them. Like, you know what? You were in your room all weekend. I apologize. I didn't even call you out till today. What was I doing? I guess I was in my world too. Adults can apologize. We can, we too can be wrong or just not knowing, because not only is your child going through something right now with this pandemic, so are you as the adult. So is the household. Some households are used to missing each other. And I go to school, this one goes to work here and another one goes to work there. And now ain't nobody missing nobody because everybody's sitting right there in each other's face. It's almost like, can you get out? Can you just step outside and close the door for like 10 minutes and then open it back up? Let's try this. But an open door, bookend your days. Good morning, how are you? I love yous, whatever it is that your family vibes off of, you know what I'm saying? And end it, end it. That's why I say bookend. End it with what's going on, how you feeling, what are you looking forward to tomorrow?
I like that. I'm gonna have to do that. I live by my calendar, so I'm gonna have to make sure that I put that down. We have a family wall, and we put everything on a family wall. And one thing that I will say is that we were the family that, because we had the opportunity to miss each other, we weren't very keen on sitting at the dining room table and having dinner together. So we would sit around the TV or we would sit around the bar and do a quick dinner or a brief dinner. Now we've come to the point where we sit down and eat as a family, and that's one thing that I truly enjoy. So that's I like that, being able to book in your day.
That's wonderful. That's an awesome time to have that conversation, because everybody hears it.
Yes.
And that leaves the opportunity for any child who may have said it in front of mom and dad to kind of, maybe they want to add a little bit more meat on it for mom or a little bit more meat on it for dad, because sometimes
they're different stories.
Each one know. They, even though in the back of their mind, I'm like, I know y'all know we talk about this, right? But okay, go ahead.
So I see that our special guest, Jennifer, has also joined us. Welcome, Jen. You can go ahead and unmute yourself and share your video, because we definitely want to make sure that we are including you in this conversation. I'm going to give you the opportunity to go ahead and give a little insight about your kind of role in this process, because I know you're not only a parent, but you also, you are a child care provider. So I know you've seen from the parent side of you as a parent and, multiple views. So I definitely want to give you the opportunity to share in on this conversation.
Hey, you guys. I'm Jennifer, the owner of Loads of Love Childcare. With the pandemic and things going on, I have the concern of just making sure that my kids are safe and the parents are okay with them being in childcare. A lot of parents feel that with everything that's going on, and they feel like, oh, well, this can happen to my kid because they're coming to childcare. But what I've done was limit the fact of a large amount of kids being in one space, checking temperatures. I have germinators come in 3 to 4 weeks to make sure everything is sanitized. We sanitize the toys and everything like that throughout the day. We're making the kids wash their hands constantly. We're using Lysol, Clorox, anything. And then sometimes you have the kids that question, why are we doing this differently than what we was doing before? And then I just sit them down and kind of explain to them the same thing as mom did when they was at home and stuff like that. So it's been a complete change, but it's also been a learning experience for the both of us.
And what about from a parent's perspective? I know you kind of came in as Shenna was sharing some things about being able to remain connected with your children. How have you managed from a parent standpoint with your children?
Okay, so as far as the connection, I kind of check on them throughout the day. Especially when they was in school and then automatically just transferred from going to virtual, and we all didn't know anything about what was going to be next or how it was going to play out or how long it was going to be or anything like that. So it's basically just been a learning experience to be able to adapt and kind of be there for them more, because sometimes it can get frustrated with just a teacher telling you something by email or sending you a brief message and then you still not getting it. So you having to reach out to the teacher, and then the fact that they have so many kids that they have to get back to, parents' emails and stuff like that. And you waiting to get a response, and then you don't get the response in the amount of time, and then it's time to submit the work, and then the teacher is telling you, okay, well, that's not correct. So then you have to go into the fact of telling your kid, if they get to that point to where they're trying to break down, like, I just can't do it no more, mama. Like, this, they asking so much of me, but I can't get anybody to help me, or I can't get a better understanding of this. So it's kind of hard. But the fact that they at home and they safe is okay. But the fact that the learning experience for some kids, because all kids don't learn the same.
Right.
And since all kids don't learn the same, it can be good for the ones that can catch on quickly, but it can be hard for the kids that feel like they need the one-on-one tension or the one-on-one time where a person is actually standing in front of them, explaining them detail for detail.
Right. I completely agree. For me, and I always share this with my daughter. When we were in school, we had 9/11, and we kind of knew the aftermath and understood the changes and aftermath after 9/11. For them, they have COVID-19. And with that COVID-19, it's an adjustment, and, you know, being able to adapt not only for them, but as parents and for educators as well. And then another thing that I would say that, you know, has really impacted my daughter has been the media coverage that has been on this, you know, rise of Black empowerment. And for her, I've noticed that there's been a change in like her interactions. There's been a change in how she responds to people. And I was sharing this with Sheena a little earlier. I'm not sure that she's seen the video of, you know, George Floyd, but I know she's aware of it.
Right.
But one thing that I would appreciate that came from her school is they were very aggressive about acknowledgement and being able to share with, you know, us as people of color, and extend kind of grace on what can we do to help. This is what we're planning to do, and this is what we've done in our school setting. They had like drive-bys for the kids to pick up literature and to pick up Black Lives Matter items and things like that. And I appreciated that as a parent, but also as a social services provider, because I think the biggest thing in this time is being able to recognize and acknowledge things. And that's one thing that I truly appreciated that came from their school. And it put me in a position that I wanted to know as a parent, how can I help preserve my child's mental health? And how can I empower them? So if either of you, Sheena, if you have any like feedback on that, how can I empower my child? How can I preserve her mental health during these times? That's something as a parent that has weighed on me and something that I am interested to know more about.
You know, mindfulness, giving grace, being vocal about giving grace, giving consistent and constant praise, because I know sometimes it feels like words or it feels repetitive, but giving authentic, let me say it like that, don't fake it, you know, giving kids know, give authentic, positive praise, allow for brain breaks, even if they are in class. This is a screen. Okay, your teacher's gonna be all right. If you get it, it's no different than if you were in person and took a break. Go walk downstairs or across the room, get yourself a glass of juice, you know, get this, get that. Set up their environment, you know, to keep them hype, you know, do something that gets them away from the screens as well. Like even when the school day is over, to empower them, to keep them ready, you know, maybe it's going for a walk. Maybe it's, you know, maybe you've bought a plant and y'all go care for the plant or plant something outside. Basically something away from the screen, because we go from, think about this, guys, we went from you should limit your child's screen time and screen time is not good, to now all of a sudden they're like from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. your child needs to be in front of that screen.
Yep.
The homework though, right, y'all? That doesn't include time for one-on-one questions with the teacher, because you may be confused because, hey, I don't know about y'all, but this way they're teaching math now, I ain't got it. I am not capable. I'm like, ooh, let's call your teacher, you know, send an email and let's ask all the questions. And then, you know, I think that's empowering when they see you also asking questions, when they see you moving differently, when they see you give yourself grace, because how you talk to yourself, your kids are going to hear it. So if you're like, it's okay to make a mistake, it's okay to have grace and to empower them, but you're not doing the same for yourself, you're over there beating yourself up, you know, really like, oh, I should have this, blah, blah, blah. It's not going to go over well. You empower them by getting them off the screen. You empower them by positive, authentic, positive praise. Just speaking life into your children. Just speak life into them. Tell them you are beautiful today. Tell them you rock them pajamas for your third period English class, honey. You rock them pajamas, and I'm proud of you because you're in class.
Yeah.
You having difficulty? You know what, baby? I never had to experience this. Tell me what this experience is like for you.
Right.
It's empowering. Like, give them the way to lead. Let them lead you. Let them teach you. You didn't go to school like this unless you're, pursuing something. But by then you're online, but you're in college. It's different. This is not high school. This is homecomings and proms and basketball and volleyball. Like, to our children, that is life.
Yeah.
Even to the small ones, that's life. I've taken my son to my campus and I love it. And now he's like, I can't go.
Yeah.
We had to have those drive-throughs you talked about, Tiff. He couldn't go because I'm like, it's baby, I can't take you. You can't, join in on this. And he was so sad, but speak life into your babies. Yeah.
I'm a very diplomatic parent. So I truly believe in partnering with my children. And I would say during this time, that's something that I've definitely partnered, that I've definitely made a means and put forth more of an effort to do is partner with them. And I've also put them at a point, I understand that you have schoolwork because my 7-year-old thrives on structure. He has to have structure, or this idle time is it's too much. It's too much for him and it's too much for me. So, we set time in the day, you need to be outside doing some physical activity during these times. I know it's hot, but please, I just need you to see outside. I want to see you get a tan, so things like that. And we've had to learn a new way to, socialize. So when we did, originally, Jen and I, we parent together. I say it all the time. We parent together. So we originally had planned this big thing for our kids to celebrate, graduating from 8th grade. And we had to scale it back. But even with scaling it back, we partnered with them and made sure that we did it in a safe way where they could still get what they needed from it. But for me, that's one thing that I've had to learn to do, or be more conscious of being able to partner and just being more open about things that are going on around us. Anything different that you've done, Jen?
I just tried to tell them that I know they get tired of being in the house. So my thing is, I try to tell them at least take 2 hours out the day with going outside, walking down the street, take a walk. The other day they walked to the daycare. And then when they get to daycare, they kind of interact with the kids just to see something different, and then they'll walk back home type thing. But just to get that exercising, because one, they're missing gym, they're missing the fact of socializing with their friends, they're missing the fact of actually seeing teachers or just seeing something different on an everyday basis. So just take yourself on a natural walk, a journey walk, or just the fact of sitting outside in the garage or sitting outside in the yard, see what's going on with just nature itself. I think it gives them just a break from actually the learning process, and let their mind be at ease to explore something different, even if it is nature or just the fact of just going over what's going actually on in the world and what can affect each and everybody differently. Because what affects them might not affect the next person. So it's just to have a better understanding of everything that's going on around them.
I agree.
I agree.
Now, during the summer months, one thing, audience, if you guys had not had the opportunity to tune into, Tiff Talks hosted our very first Minority Mental Health Symposium. And it by far was probably one of the largest accomplishments that I can say my team and I have put together as far as footage is concerned. So if you have not had the opportunity to check it out, it is on our YouTube channel. Make sure that you check it out. But I said all that to say, and Shenna, you kind of touched on this. For me, or for us as millennials, I find that we are still getting to a better place in life with being more aware and sharing our own experience and awareness as it relates to mental health. Now, I do say in the past couple of months, with so many celebrities having shared their experience, it's allowed a little bit more grace. But I want to know from you guys' perspectives as millennials, how can we bring more awareness to sharing the concerns regarding mental health, and not being at a point where we continue to sweep this under the rug, but being able to be at a point where we acknowledge and be able to connect with resources and have more access for our kids?
You know, talk about it. Stop acting like what goes on in this house stays in this house. Sometimes you need to talk about it. Break the stigma, especially Black and brown households. There is a stigma. I can't tell you how many times a student has truly needed my help and their parents like, or a student or someone has said, well, I'm like, hey, every great one has their own. That's what people feel. So, listen, sit on my couch, I sit on your couch. This is how, that's how that goes. But normalizing it, saying how it's okay to receive assistance, and actually educating yourself for those who are in the field. Like, I know Tiff, you and I, we've done a lot of mental health work, so we may be cognizant of some things. Share those resources. Stop just hoarding things and holding it. Share that with the next generation. Talk about how much better you felt after you sought some therapy, because sometimes a lot of the things that we end up going through, even during like a time like this, during a pandemic, have stemmed from previous traumas or something that's gone on in our life. Even if we don't consider it traumatic, it was something occurred. We were raised a certain way, and things are completely different now. The parenting, when I was born, 86, and parenting now are two different beasts. There's
two different ways. Two different.
Yeah, there's so many different apps, so many different things online. There's so much. So I don't know, educating yourselves and breaking the stigma and sharing the resources that you are aware of, so that they continue to be cycled and that people get encouraged to look into even more. Like, oh, what's this mental? What's that? Hashtag it, because that's what everybody clicking on anyway. Hashtag mental health, break the stigma. Do whatever you need to do to put it out there, but you also have to make sure you're presenting it in ways that they want to see it.
Right.
They don't always want you to just talk at them. They don't always want it in a PowerPoint. Sometimes you want it to feel like a real chill conversation. Something is like when you do your Tiff talks, because it's a conversation.
Yeah.
Makes people more comfortable.
Yeah, I agree with that. What about you, Jen?
Long as you leave it open to have the discussion, regardless, just let them know that it's okay to wonder. It's okay to think. It's okay to feel like what you're asking may be a hard question for somebody else to understand, or somebody else to have an answer for. Everybody's answer is not going to be the same. Everybody understanding is not going to be the same. So the way I may have a point of view of something, or how I feel about something, it's okay for you to feel differently. So a thing like what I do with the kids is every month we have a family discussion, and we kind of discuss everything that's going on around us, everything going on within the household, outside of the household, however we feeling. And the discussion is up for you, just basically say how you feel. And it's okay to feel sad. It's okay to feel like you mentally drained. It's okay to feel overwhelmed. It's okay to feel however you're going to feel. But if it gets to a point to where it's something that you can't handle, I just try to make it open for them to come to me and explain to me and let me know that, okay, well, look, Mom, I'm feeling this way, or I'm overwhelmed about this. Because if you don't communicate, then they don't have a comfort zone. Because growing up, a lot of us didn't like talk to our parents. I mean, we kind of held stuff in. We told them what we wanted them to know, but it wasn't where we could come to them and fully say point A to point D and them have an understanding of it. It was something where we might say point A, we might say a little bit of B, we might not even say C, but D, we're going to speak on just a little bit. And at the end of the day, they just coming to us saying, okay, well, this is how I feel about this. But the whole time, we're not even being open enough with them to let them know everything that's going on.
I completely agree. And what I hear from both of you guys is transparency. And that's one thing that I am big on in our household is transparency. You may not like what I have to say. And I say that. That's how, whenever I have to have a hard conversation with my kids, I say that. You may not like what I have to say, but I'm going to give you the best parts of what I have to say, and you can take it, and whatever you do with it, you do with it. I'm giving it to you in a way, well, I'm hoping that you will process it. And if you can't process it on your own, we will process it together. It's kind of where we stand in our household. And a big thing for me is, I think as parents, we have to put on like this superpower, super cape type thing. And during this process, I've really learned the power of vulnerability and being able to display my vulnerability as a parent, as my own superpower, and understanding, sometimes mommy get weak. Sometimes mama can't put that cape on. That cape may be too heavy today. And being able to say that it's okay to not be okay, and that it's okay for you too to not be okay, but it's something that we can work through together.
Right.
So another big thing before we kind of wrap up that I want to tackle is, when it comes down to where we sit now, it's not only us as parents, it's not only the kids, but it's also the educators. And I have a lot of peers and colleagues and friends that are educators. So I kind of want to know from your perspective, Shenna, what can we do as parents to support educators during this time?
Praise them, thank them, build them up, give them empathy, let them know that they're heard, and, do your best to, sometimes it's just okay to just say thank you. I'll be real. It's okay to say thank you for all that you're doing, whether virtually or in person. Teachers have a hard job. Yeah. I'm surrounded by amazing teachers day in and day out where I'm working, and they have a hard job. They have to, they're being upheld to the same standard, as they were in person. So building them up, giving them empathy, and sometimes just emailing them without a question just to say thank you, honestly. That's usually feedback that I get, is nobody says thank you. Do they understand how hard this is? I don't need a present. Like, I don't need chocolate that I don't eat necessarily. I need someone to say, thank you, I hear you, and I see you. And it's really that simple, especially right now. It's really that simple in my eyes. Handwritten note, if you're really going for the gold, just
I kind of agree with that, because I went through the last maybe couple of weeks, because Malcolm is going to high school now. And there was a lot of things that he was trying to accomplish at the very end of the year. So it was this one teacher that will like actually call him on his cell phone and say, Malcolm, we need you to do this. Malcolm, we need you to do that. You need to stay on this. You need to make sure you're doing this. And all I could do was, when I emailed her, I just sent her a long email. It's just about how I thank her just for the simple stuff, because she didn't have to reach out to him personally, or she didn't have to email him personally, or didn't have to text him personally to tell him, look, we're going to figure it out. Don't give up. I'm here for you. I'm here every step of the way. And I want to say thank you, because a lot of educators don't take the extra initiatives to go out of their way for certain kids. So I appreciate all educators.
Yeah. I completely, for me, I think I have a new respect for educators. I've always respect their job and what they bring to the table. I couldn't do it myself. So I appreciate the role that you play in my child's life, in my children's life. But I now see from a systems standpoint, as a social worker, we work from a system standpoint. Everything ties together. Everything work accordingly amongst each other. And I see that now when it comes to my kids, and the role of systems that their schools play in their life, that their teachers play in their life, that the educators, that the administrators play in their life. Because we've gotten calls, from her teacher, but also from the counseling staff at her school, people that she may not be in their class, but they know her in passing, just to kind of check in. And that's something that I truly appreciate. And I'm going forward, when they do go back to school, I think I'm a little bit more humble, and I'll be more at a point to extend more grace for me personally. So as we wrap up, I want to kind of get you guys final thoughts. And what we call it here on Tiff Talks is the final testament. So for people that have been tuning in throughout this live footage, anything that you want to be sure that they take away that you have shared with them today, I want you guys to just make sure that you're sharing that so we can make sure that they get it. All right. Shenna, if you want to start with your final testament of today.
Right. I think my final testament is going to rest on it's okay to feel all the feels, whether you're upset, angry, or you're just okay. And be consistent with whatever you're doing, like your actions. Have consistent actions, and it's okay to feel. I think that's my testament, because a lot of what we've discussed, I feel like it relied on a lot of things for people to be vulnerable and to feel, and for them to have to, like I mentioned, creating routines, so consistency is going to be key there. So I think that's what I'd like to rest on.
And what about you, Jen? What would you like to rest on, as Shenna said?
Mine would be with the fact to just acknowledge that sometimes you're not okay. And if you're not okay, just acknowledge that you're not okay. And then make a standpoint or a statement just for yourself. It could be something that you just rely on yourself on an everyday basis to get you throughout the day or get you throughout the week or whatever the case may be. And I think you should bring that with the kids or whatever, or whoever's around you. So just kind of make yourself a self statement to kind of live by throughout the week.
Okay. Okay. Good, good, good. And I'm looking at my top partner because we do have 2 gift cards. I hope that you can see them that we're giving away during this live. One for an educator and one for a parent as well. And did we have anyone that came in that we'll be giving these gift cards away to?
No one commented. So the first person that I think come up as far as the watch party was Kathleen.
All right. So she was just telling me the parent that we're going to be gifting this to, and we agreed to give the parent that was the first to come in an Amazon gift card, and that person is Fanula.
Oh, that's Fanya.
Fanya, I'm sorry. So Fanya, I will be mailing this gift card to you here from Tiff Talks, just as a gift to do whatever you want to do with. I will recommend some self-care, but that's because I'm big on self-care. Going into this school year, and we will also give this second gift card to Kathleen, looks like Vasquez, who came in. We will also be sending you a gift card for tuning in today, but also sharing in the conversation. I appreciate both of you ladies for just being a part of this discussion. This is something that we keep a part as the Tiff Talks calendar, because I feel that as a parent, we need to talk about these things. And in the time that we're in now, we needed to have this conversation from all perspectives. And I appreciate you guys sharing that with us today. A few housekeeping rules and kind of announcements moving forward. Tiff Talks will totally be Zoom virtual, kind of moving on out through the end of the year. So you will be able to meet us here on Facebook, and also being streamed and posted on our YouTube channel for all of our lives moving forward. We will be returning on August the 30th for our first ever Tiff Talks Empowerment series. And this is something that I've been working on for the past couple of months, and I'm excited about. It is going to be a 7-part series. So 7 weeks of live commentary discussing different aspects and different perspectives of empowerment. We're going to be talking about empowerment from the women's perspective, empowerment from the man's perspective, also talking about vulnerability, collateral beauty. So it's going to be jam-packed, but it is going to be good. And we have some awesome guests that have signed on to be a part of that. So I want to encourage you guys to continue to rock with us. Tiff Talks is doing some big things, and we're making some moves and grooves. So I encourage you guys, if this is your first time, to come back, and if you are a long-standing follower, to continue to rock with us, because we appreciate your love and support. For me, that kind of wraps up today. Once again, thank you, ladies. I appreciate you guys. We will be reaching out to you to follow up. If you guys have any questions or concerns for those that have tuned in, don't hesitate to comment in the comment section. Make sure that you like and share this post, and follow us on all platforms. On Instagram, we are at JKC Marketing. On Facebook, we are JKen Code Marketing, and our YouTube channel is JKC Podcast. All of that should be in the screen over there, but we'll also make sure that it's in the show notes as well. Thank you guys for sharing this afternoon with me. Remember, keep talking.